Mike, as you know, Rugby Nats is all about promoting grassroots rugby.
Yeah.
Tell us when and where did this wonderful game first grip you?
Well, it first gripped me when I went to grammar school and started playing when I was 11. And I suppose playing from 11, I then continued playing until I was 43 in probably 6 or 7 clubs all around the country, moving mainly through work. I started off in playing down on the south coast. I played for the Portsmouth Polytechnic, Old Portsmouthians, Sussex University, Bridgnorth, Ilkley, Wirral and Hertford.
A few then.
A few. So I toured the country work-wise and rugby-wise, yeah, both, yeah. I loved it. It's a fantastic game.
Very impressive facilities here.
Yes.
I'm sure they haven't always been like this. Can you just give us a brief history on the club?
Yes, brief history. We have a notice in the Ilkley Gazette that an Ilkley player played for Yorkshire in 1873, so that we know the club was going from 1873. But in those days, from 1873 to 1899, we played in about 4 different pitches around the town, so the history is a bit fragmented then. In 1899, we came here, and a guy purchased the land and gave the club the opportunity to purchase the land back when they could afford it. So he leased it to the club, and then we bought the land back at a later date. So he was a good guy, and the name, this Stacks Field, is named after him. And 1920, if you look inside the sign of where we used to be, the stand was built then, the first stand, and the clubhouse was built at about the same time and was extended. And then 7 years ago, what Richard Scargill, who was the previous chairman for 10 years, he drove the programme to develop this club, and we raised £850,000 ourselves, and the rest of the money came from Sports Council and all of the other funding bodies, local authority, and we built this place. And then I took over, this is my 5th season, I took over from Richard, who'd done it for 10 years. Richard took the club from Yorkshire 2 to Yorkshire 1, and I took over 5 years ago. We've now gone up another 2 leagues. We built our gym. We built our beautiful player enclosure down below with our Man United seats down there, which is a bit of a wow factor. And really, we've got plans going forward probably for the next 5 or 7 years. We've got a big extension that we'd like to do in the next 3 years. And then we've got a number of capital projects which will probably require expenditure overall in the region of £400,000 or £500,000. But we can do that with the money we generate ourselves, because we don't pay players, so all of the money we generate gets reinvested into rugby.
Just going back to the rugby, 2 seasons ago you were in Yorkshire 1.
Yes.
You're now playing rugby in National 3.
We are.
How has the club achieved this, and is it sustainable?
Well, by checking around, we get the feeling that the very highest an amateur club could go would probably be National 2. The way we've made it happen really is just by networking. I mean, we rely very heavily on the coaches, with the people they know, to encourage people to come. The players do a good job in pulling people in. We've created a liaison and a link with Leeds University, so we do have a link with them, and players come from Leeds University to join us. And so it's really a network of people working all the time, putting effort in to encourage people to join Ilkley, because the one thing we can only offer here, because we don't pay, is a bit of a wow factor and to look after people. So we're trying to create the best facilities, the best coaches, look after the pitches, and that's it. Then after that, it's please come and it's about guys enjoying each other's company to play. There's no contractual pull here, so guys are at liberty, if you like. They go on holiday. They go skiing, they go to weddings, and nobody nobbles them for it. We say, that's the model we sell, and that's the one we stick with, you know. So we do need a big squad because of that. We do need a big squad.
And in your experience, going from level 7 to level 5, has that put any extra financial pressure on the club?
Well, no financial pressure at all, really, because things like coaches, we don't have to travel any much further now than we did then. Obviously, payment to players doesn't exist for us, so that's not an issue. So a large squad means no financial obligations. So really, no, the answer is no real additional financial pressures at all. None.
And finally,
the one thing we have done is we've recruited a fitness and conditioning coach. So that was the only additional financial burden. Who comes once a week so far in this beginning of the season, he's been coming once a week to raise the level of fitness of the players. So we have spent some money in that direction, but it's not significant by any means. It's quite marginal, quite marginal.
Finally, ambitions for the club on the pitch over the next coming seasons?
We believe it's possible to get to National 2. But I'd just like to launch an idea now, and that is that when we were discussing how we could prove we were the best amateur club, we found that there wasn't a mechanism for us doing that, because as we get to this level and the next level, we run into the pool of semi-pros, and so there's no real way of us doing it. So what we're going to recommend at some point in the near future, if we can find the appropriate person in the RFU, is that they launch a CASC Cup, which is a community amateur sports club, which is an amateur cup. And what can happen is people around the country will play regionally, and the winners of the regions will move up and eventually play the final at Twickenham. Then you could prove you're the best amateur club in the country, and we'd love that to happen, and we'd like to be there.
I'm sure we will. Mike, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.